we're back here on yet another episode of Journey to Million. You might be wondering, 4 people here on again episode 66. And if you listened last year, you might not have seen his face, but Steve from Official Word Sports is with us here today. And Steve again is a proud Jets fan, as you might have guessed if you're watching the video here. He's got a lot of Jets stuff, but Steve, how's it going?
It's going great, guys. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back. It's been a hot minute, but it's great to be back. Spitting it out with you guys and talking some football and any other sports you guys want to kind of talk about. So,
yeah, and full squad's here. Jared, Zack, how you boys doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
All right, yeah. So I mean, how we're rolling. We got to talk about the full off season here. Which, easier said than done in a full episode, right? No free agency yet, but we keep getting more and more buzz, it feels. This past, today's especially a lot of buzz, right? We'll talk like a lot of Fortnite, of course, but also, right, Zack had two games planned, Steve. We didn't tell you that, but here later near the episode here, he'll roll out those games. He'll go through instructions. We got it done last week to a science. Week 1, I didn't really understand the instructions, so I was just blurting things. So,
oh sure, no, Drew lost, and he's trying to make an excuse as to why he lost.
He's
a little slow with instructions at sometimes. So,
oh no, Jared, I was talking about week 1. Last week you won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, last week I did lose to Jeopardy. Well, I lost Jeopardy in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough though. I started minus
Drew's
100. Ended up not helping. I ended up not mattering, but started off minus 100 because I caught out a spelling error that Zack had. So it happens. But okay, Jets fan here. I gotta ask. We were talking a little bit about it before, Jared. You were here. We were talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation. We were talking about the Jets quarterback situation. I thought that was kind of like a fitting place to go with you, Steve. I know you shared a little bit of your thoughts more before the episode, but I really wanted to hear Carr. Would you prefer Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers? We know not Ryan Tannehill, and we know when you want Jimmy G.
Yeah, again, if I was partying like a rock star, give me Jimmy G all day. I'll take the seconds. I don't need the first round draft picks. I'll take the second and third round draft picks out of Jimmy G, right? But when it comes to being on the field, Jimmy G's really not on the field. Maybe he's only on the field 40% of the time. So he's not the right option for the New York Jets. It's not Tannehill. It's not Geno Smith. So it really comes down to Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. And they're it's very two different scenarios between the two quarterbacks. One you got to make a trade for, and one is just going to cost you money, right? So you got Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old, playing the game. Do I want to play? Do I not want to play? His ego. I mean, he's crazy that way with his ego. He didn't like Brett Favre when he was a rookie, but he's turning into Brett Favre at the same age Brett Favre was, right? So, and then you got Derek Carr. That's going to cost you what, $35 million a year and no draft picks, right? And the Jet fan base is kind of torn. And I've got into some interesting debates in some of the groups and forums on Facebook with it. And I am not prepared to sell my soul to the devil to trade for a 39-year-old quarterback and give up critical draft capital. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not willing to sell my soul for short-term success of 1 to 2 years, lose that draft capital. In 2 years, I'm searching for a quarterback again. Where with Derek Carr, at the very least, 9-year veteran, I can get maybe 5 to 7 years out of Derek Carr. And all it does cost me money. I still have that draft capital to reinvest in the offensive line and other areas through the draft, because we still have to rebuild some of that defense depending on how many free agents leave and what we're able to sign. But there's some with that draft picks you need to rebuild. And I think Derek Carr's personality will fit better in the locker room with the young players that we have than Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers will teach how not to be a professional, because he's such an ego-driven player that I think Derek Carr is the best way to go. No draft picks, just cost me money. He's going to be a great team guy in the locker room. He's shown that with the Raiders. He's gone through so much adversity with the Raiders. You never heard a bad thing out of him. He was always team first guy. Go get him. Stop fooling around. Stop saying we're going to look at Geno and Tannehill and all these other guys, the smoke and mirrors. Go get Derek Carr. Get it done. Let's go. You're in Indianapolis. Derek Carr's in Indianapolis. Let's sold this up.
How much do you think the media plays into the Aaron Rodgers ego?
Aaron Rodgers will get eaten up in New York. He will get eaten up in New York. I've seen players come in here thinking they're all that. Randy Johnson played for the Yankees for 1 year at the end of his career. His first day in New York City, he's agitated with a video guy, and he pushes the video guy. Day one in New York City, pushes the video guy out of his way. The fans just tore him apart, and Randy Johnson just never fit in with the Yankees. This is Randy Johnson, Hall of Famer, at the end of his career. He just didn't know how to talk to the media because everything that dealt with that camera, they just never let him forget about the camera. And with the New York media, you're going to come in with this attitude. It just doesn't work. It just don't. You want to know how to deal with the New York media? Derek Jeter's your guy. Call him up and or watch his press conferences and all the stuff that he dealt with the media. That's how you handle the New York media, and you'll be successful. The guys that come in with the ego, just doesn't happen. Sorry.
Do you think like Pat McAfee? So there, I'll throw Colts in for you, Jared. Do you think the Pat McAfee show really helps? You know, I feel almost as a Packer fan, you know, it's not that like the Pat McAfee show is throwing him like, you know, slow pitch balls that he can just hit, you know, for home runs in terms of media questions. But, you know, it certainly is a different atmosphere, right? A lot laid back, you know, in terms of like that's kind of been the media.
Pat McAfee show is nothing like New York media. Okay. It's the New York media. It's the best way I can do it is that I'll use Mike White. Mike White could go, you know, 30 for 37, 4 touchdowns, no picks, be the man. The following week, he goes 15 for 37, no touchdowns and 2 picks, and everybody's complaining, get this guy out of here, right? You're the darling 1 week, and the next week you're not. They booed Derek Jeter years ago. Not a lot of fans know that, but there was a year he started like 0 for 37. They booed him. You booed Derek Jeter. It's like throwing snowballs at Santa Claus in Philly. What are you doing? You don't do it, right? It's like, come on. So, but that's the New York media for you. It's what have you done for me right now? Not what you did and what you helped build has nothing. What Aaron Rodgers did in the past means nothing. That his touchdown ratio is probably 3-1, maybe 4-1. That he wins 12 games every year for his whole career means nothing. Played in what, 2-3 Super Bowls means nothing.
So you think he actually
right there?
Would you say that his ego is actually what it is, I guess, hyped up to be, or do you think the media hypes it up more than it actually plays a factor in his daily life? Because
I don't know Aaron Rodgers well enough,
okay.
Right? And personally speaking, I don't know him well enough. But what I see on the TV of him shows that he's an ego guy, and it's almost like it's a me first scenario. And it just when you have a young team, it just gives off a bad vibe. I just don't want him. To be honest, I don't. Because I want the talent. I don't want the ego. But with that talent is 39 years old. You got a young team. It's like, do you really want a 39-year-old quarterback? Okay, you give me 1 to 2 years. You're going to be 41 in 2 years. It's like, I know it worked for Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay sold their soul to the devil. They're $55.7 million over the cap. 35 of that is related to Tom Brady.
Lenny goes now.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Leonard Fournette was a casualty today to that cap, right?
Yeah.
But
and there's more coming.
Steve,
there's more coming. I mean, think about that. How many people you have to cut to get $55 million? Oh my God! So you sold your soul to the devil for the Super Bowl.
Do you think that some players, like say Aaron Rodgers, is kind of hesitant to go to New York because of the whole harsh media kind of thing?
Sure. I think that comes into play. When you have an organization that is so thirsty to win, right? Like they're drinking sand to win football games because the Jets in the last 10 years have been anemic. This year was great, right? Even though it didn't end well, we weren't expected to win 10 games, but they could have won 10 games. We had better quarterback play. Right. So you're so desperate. And plus you haven't been in a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III, right? Color TV was just invented the last time we were there. Right. And so in the New York media, you got the Giants with 4 titles, right? They're in the crapper with the Jets. They made the playoffs. New coach, they made the playoffs. The Jets struggling to get there, right? So we're like the little brother to the Giants. We're so thirsty for it. It's tough. it is tough to come here. And if I was Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't come here if I was Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't. Stay where you are, to be honest with you. Stop being a jerk.
Especially seeing that, I mean, the Raiders are offering him stuff, and he's got Devontae. Like I don't see him going to the Jets, but I think Jets and Raiders are top 2 right now. I don't really know what's going on with him, but
Our
I
owner
think
gets in the way. Our
Yeah,
owner has gotten in the way because he says that we're willing to sign somebody for big bucks. And when you do that, now you change everything. Everybody's like, oh my God, the Jets are willing to spend. So now what does that mean? You're going to overspend? Our owner hurt us in that fashion. I know he's trying to speak to the fans. The fans all know what we need to do, Woody. You don't need to tell us that you need to go get a veteran quarterback. Because if nobody sees that, then we're in bigger trouble, right? Everybody knows we need a veteran quarterback. So I think our owner hurt us. I just don't think Aaron's the right. If Aaron was 35, I'd say go ahead and do it at 35. But at 39, 1 to 2 years, don't pass.
and also
So
if you're
age and
looking-
ego.
if you're looking for that player that's like, passionate and not a big ego, like you said, Derek Carr. I mean, this year the Raiders won a whole 5 games or whatever, and he's sitting there at a press conference crying, saying like, I care about my team so much. I want them to succeed. Someone that's got that passion instead of being kind of full of himself, like you said, Aaron Rodgers is. You think that would be what the Jets culture kind of needs?
Yeah, I do. I just think Derek Carr, not in fairness to Geno, in fairness to Tannehill, I don't know them. I know Geno played here, but he was not an impact here. Everything I've seen out of Derek Carr is the right culture fit for that locker room. I think he would grab hold of this team. I think folks like Elijah Moore, who wanted out, and it really came out that Mike LaFleur was the problem with Elijah Moore, and he said some choice words, and that's why he wanted out. But Elijah Moore's my guy.
Yes.
He's really my guy. I
Drew's
think
guy as
he's
well.
if you put Elijah Moore in the right spot to succeed in the thank you. If you put him in the right spot, he's going to excel. And then the compliment to Garrett Wilson is just unbelievable. And I don't like anybody from Ohio State, but he's unbelievable, Garrett Wilson. So again, Corey Davis, I think, is going to be a cap casualty. So they're going to have to figure something out there as the number 2. But I liked Breece Hall. Oh my God, Breece Hall was just coming into his own, and then he tore the ACL. But having him come back, I really like what the Jets have, nucleus wise, offensively. We just got to fix that line again. That line, Joe Douglas, he played offensive line in college. Come on, Joe, you got to fix it, right? You got to do it the right way.
Zach was the
What's
guy
the
who had the
word
Jets
on,
9-8.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
You remember?
What's the word on Breece Hall right now? How soon is he going to be back? Is there any?
He's
anything out?
progressing really well. So we just got an update. Mekhi Becton, Breece Hall, and Elijah Vera Tucker, the outstanding lineman out of USC, is all projecting to be there for training camp. Breece Hall is actually ahead of schedule. But Elijah Vera Tucker, he played 4 positions on the offensive line this year. Most people didn't know that. The only position he didn't play was left guard because Lakeland Tomlinson was there. But he played left tackle, right guard, and center. He's never played center before, and he's never played right tackle before. And he was tremendous doing both. Just an unbelievable weapon. I just hope that we can find one home for him and he can stay healthy. He just had that torn, I think it was torn bicep, I think it was a torn bicep, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, right now, off-season wise, we were talking a lot, right? Packers, right? So Zach and I up here, Packers. Jared bottom left, Colts, of course. And then, I wanted to point that out, Jared. I noticed that. I was like,
Yeah.
he did it. And then, of course, Steve, you, the Jets fan. So, right, us Packer fans have been, really been monitoring the situation, of course, with Rodgers. Not as much as the retreat he did. I'm kind of over that. I don't know, right, Zach, you're over that too. I'm sure we kind of talked about that, but
yeah, I mean, everyone can do what they want. It's just if you're in obviously in the NFL, the media is going to cover what you do, and it's not as private. But
I think Aaron Rodgers is a fool to go. I think he's a fool to go. You're the same thing with Brett Favre, right? They forced him out, and you had Aaron Rodgers in the wings, and he kind of the way it went with Brett. But Aaron Rodgers, don't let him go. Don't trade him, right? Christian Watson's going to be a beast in this league. You still got Aaron Jones. You got AJ Dillon. Yeah, you got to fill some holes with the wide receivers. But man, your legacy's there. Why would you give that up? You trying to think you're going to recreate what Tampa did with Tom Brady? It's not that easy. The Bucs were ready and poised to
They
take
were in
that
such a
next
good
step. They just
situation.
needed the quarterback.
I mean, like, look at that
Personally,
defense overall
yeah.
or line.
I think we've talked about this before, but personally, from the Packers' perspective, I can see kind of both sides of it, because if he does come back, like, obviously, yeah, that's great. It gives the Packers the best chance to win in 2023. But I also don't think that they're complete enough and have a good enough roster to actually go to the Super Bowl and win. So that's why also, if they do end up trading Aaron Rodgers, I can also see that perspective.
Well, that's a great point, right? Because you got Jordan Love, that you got to do something with Jordan Love, right? You don't want that pick to go to waste, literally go to waste, because he's going to walk away because he's pissed off, right? It's kind of like the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, waiting in the wings behind Brett, right? So I understand that dynamic. I think the Packers are reaching for the stars in draft picks, that I think what they're asking for in 2 number ones is not realistic for a 39-year-old quarterback. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers did in the past. He's 12-10 in the playoffs all time. He's only got 1 Super Bowl victory. So the almighty Aaron Rodgers only got 1 Super Bowl victory, and he's 12-10 in the playoffs. So there's some games you wonder, you're like, man, how come we didn't win that game? So I understand about trading. I just think the 2 number ones is a lot to be asking for a 39-year-old quarterback. But if you trade them and you get plenty of picks, if your scouting does the right job, you can flip. And then all of a sudden you got plenty of young players. And now you flip that roster with Jordan Love, and you're back in again. And for what? You're at 24 years or 22 years of excellence in Green Bay, from Brett to Aaron. And then you can flip that if Jordan Love is the real deal, and then you get picks for Rodgers. Are you looking at another 15-year run for the Green Bay Packers? I mean, that's historic, to go with the 3 straight quarterbacks that are winners. Holy cow, that would be huge for Green Bay.
We hope so.
I also think that Aaron Rodgers might be a little reluctant to go to the Jets, going back to that, because, the whole comparison to Brett Favre everyone's put on him, that would just kind of fit in kind of a little too well,
Yeah, I just don't see Aaron I just don't see it with the media. The Jets have to be aware of that. The draft capital, the Jets just have to be smart about it. Again, Aaron Rodgers, is that the best move? If I'm Aaron Rodgers at 39, do I want to deal with that market and that crazy fan base? I don't know. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Exactly what you're saying.
I get that Rodgers jersey in the background. You can put that, maybe replace Namath.
Whoa, that's a Mount Rushmore back there. But
I want to see the reaction. I mean, number 12. Why don't we just put Rodgers over it? Get some tape.
Get some duct
Rodgers.
tape. I think I got some duct tape around here somewhere.
Get that up. No, I wouldn't make you.
But how about that license plate? That was my old license plate back in New York. That's hanging up there. It says Klecko.
Oh, wow.
Back in the 90s, when they came out with those vanity plates with the jet helmet, I'm like, man, I got to do something. I'm like, Klecko was my favorite player of all time, even though he doesn't play anymore at that point. And so I got Klecko, and so I'll have that around my neck at the Hall of Fame.
I meant to ask, is the Bills fan? Are we still calling it an exhibition game?
Yes, he still calls it an exhibition game.
Boy.
So Vince definitely still calls it the exhibition game.
Oh, yeah,
and I'll tell you, he's all fired up today. He is all fired up today. I don't know if you heard, but Leslie Frazier is stepping down as his defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And really, at this time, you're doing it at this time. And so he's a little frustrated at the timing. Like, why all of a sudden? Like, you lost out on Brian Flores. You lost out on possibly Vic Fangio, right? So he's not too happy. So.
He's just like stepping away for a year, right? Is he coming back to Buffalo, or did he really stay?
I think it's the polite way of you're getting fired.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they're calling him stepping away from a year, and I'm going to return to coaching in 24, but it won't be with Buffalo. I can't see it. It was rough for him, and I don't think it was fair criticism. You lost Von Miller, you lost Micah Hyde for the year before the season started. Joey Poria missed 4 or 5 games. Von Miller missed 9 games. Matt Milano, who I love, is one of their linebackers. He missed some time this year. They were banged up. I mean, Tre'Davious White was hurt, and when he came back, he wasn't ready to come back, but he tried. They lost Bedford, the 6th-round pick, who was a stud. He lost him to a broken hand. Their defense was slaughtered with injuries, right? And look, injuries happen to teams. But when you're losing 5 starters on a really good defense, it's hard to recover, right? And then your backups start getting hurt. When you get into that third round of depth charts, no teams can survive defensively. And I still thought they did pretty decent with all those injuries. So I think some people look at Leslie Frazier and saying, well, good riddance. But he dealt with a lot of injuries there in Buffalo, and I think it is a loss that losing Leslie Frazier.
And you could definitely tell to start the year. I mean, that team was unstoppable. They were like number 1 on all power rankings. I mean, Allen to Diggs was huge, and defense was holding up. And then as the year went on, they just kind of started to fall off a little, and you saw how they ended in the playoffs.
If Vince was here, he would say the problem with Josh Allen is that he started with hero ball. And so when you have a cannon for an arm, you're looking for all those big plays downfield. And you're forgetting that you have all these plays underneath that you can make. But he's going for the long ball, and it didn't work out. And defenses make their adjustments. Like a couple of years ago, they made the adjustment against Kansas City, right? They played the 2 deep, and they took away Tyreek Hill. And that kind of put the Chiefs offense into like a spurter about 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, where they sputtered because Mahomes really liked that deep ball. And then they started making adjustments. And then obviously Tyreek Hill wasn't here last year. And they made their adjustments and look at how good their offense was. So I think Josh Allen is going to go through that adjustment and saying, hey, I don't have to go 50, 60 yards downfield every time. Take what the defense gives me, wait for it to open, and then take your shot. And they got to stop running the guy. They're gonna create Steve McNair. If you guys remember, you guys are pretty young fellas, but if you remember Steve McNair, his body took a pounding. Cam Newton took a pounding.
Yeah.
Longevity, it wears on you. You're young now and you can take the hits, but what happens when you're 32, 33 years old and your body's taking all that hits? I think they need to stop calling his number, right? Get a running back in there that can do the job. Don't let your quarterback, your franchise guy, take those hits. Silly.
Yeah. Kind of feel the same with like Jalen Hurts too. I mean, like all these young quarterbacks that are, getting pounded up the middle every single play on a 4th down, it's gonna.
That's what makes me nervous about Lamar Jackson. I don't want to pay Lamar Jackson $45, $50 million a year guaranteed. You're not as a runner. You're one hit from one angry linebacker taking you out. And now I'm stuck with that contract.
He's had back-to-back years now where he's missed some time with injuries as well.
Who?
Lamar has.
I'm actually worried. So we're us three here, Zach, Jared, and myself. We're in a dynasty league. We're in multiple, but like in Zach's dynasty league, so fantasy football, right? I have Lamar Jackson in a league. I took him to start up a few years ago, and right. I mean, long term, right? First 2-3 years, it looked good. Now it's certainly not looking like 5 years from now. It looks like I'll probably be maybe even less than 5 years from now. I might be scrambling for it's super flex, so 2 quarterbacks.
Well, I got Kyler Murray and Justin Fields. Now Murray's kind of out for the first. How long is he out next year? At least the first like 4 or 5,
2/3,
over half, 2/3. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So
I'm gonna have to you do fantasy football, Steve?
I do. I'm not in one of those dynasty leagues, but we definitely do the fantasy football. The problem with Kyler Murray, there's a couple of things with Kyler Murray. I don't know about his new coach there, but DeAndre Hopkins most likely is getting traded. So I don't know who he's got for weapons out there. D-Hop, you can always count on him to catch that ball.
Rondale Moore. He had a good stretch of games when Hollywood Brown was out. So,
yeah.
I'm high on Rondale Moore for next year.
What about Greg Dortch?
Drew's probably high. Yep, Greg Dortch. There it is.
No, it's Rondale. No, I'm on Team Rondale. Yeah, not Greg Dortch. No, we have some guys here. Chris Moore's another one of the Texans.
Picks the most random guys. It'll just be a guy that, because like 3 injuries happen, a guy starting for a week, and then Drew's a fan of him for the rest of the year.
What? Mitchell Wilcox. We talked about this. 2nd string tight end on the Bengals won me a playoff game in fantasy football. I mean, like, it happens.
It's such a crapshoot. It is such a crapshoot with fantasy football. And that's what the love of it. I actually have a wild, crazy idea with fantasy football. You guys want to hear it?
Well, yeah, I love wild ideas.
Okay, wild ideas. Yahoo, ESPN, NFL Network. If you're listening, please listen, because this is it.
Sleeper.
This is the sleeper thing. I want to go back in fantasy football back in the 70s and 80s. Take a year, pick the 1983, right? You draft 1983 players, but you randomize the games so you don't know which games are going to be which. and how the stats roll up. So like Marino throws for 400 yards in week 3, but it may not be week 3. Through a randomizer, you never know when he's going to have that statistical game, right? And it may be week 15, but you draft all the players from that year and do like a historical like fantasy from old years in the past. And just do a
draft your
randomizer
team and then just randomize all the weeks for each
right.
player.
Because if you do that, then you're going to say, well, okay, if I get this guy, he had really good weeks 1, 3, 5. So if I line it up perfectly, I can win these games. No. That's not fun. The randomizer, as you pick your players, once that's all set, the games just kind of line up the way they do, and they just play out each week. You just go through it instead of it just being all in one shot each week, because you do this in the off season, right? To pass the time in the off season.
Yeah.
And
so what about like bye weeks?
17 weeks? I don't know. It's just a crazy idea. The crazy thought, because all the stats have been compiled, right?
Bye week gets randomized, and you get them all in the first round of the playoffs. So you got like 5 guys on buys.
Well, back then they didn't have buys, right? So we don't have to worry about the buy, depending on the year, right?
Sure. There was also only there were less games back then too. So
but think about how fun that would be of going through and grabbing a random year and looking at all the projections from what their stats were in 82, or not that you couldn't look up what their stats were in 83, but depending on how you want to do it, and say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Oh man, dang it, Zach, you took Joe Montana, right? And right. So anyway, that's my crazy fantasy football idea.
It's a throwback,
That'd definitely be a hit for some older football fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, even my thing with the idea is like, what if you like had it, because you still want to have it maybe like matchups. You want to still like for starting sits, you still want to base off matchups based on the opposing team's defense. So maybe instead of, I know you mentioned exactly weeks, but like in today's technology, right, simulate those games. I know there'd have to be like some sort of like attribute or right, there'd have to be some sort of setting to like toggle that. It'd be a lot more.
At that point, you're just playing Madden though.
But I know,
if you're just simulating the games, it's just go on Madden, get some older rosters, and
if you still want to base it off of matchups, though, because I mean, just basing off right.
Look, there's so many ways this could be improved, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Sitting and talking about it. I mean,
it's a good base.
But
it's a good base.
Oh man, that would be great. Like
some younger fans might not like it too much, but I mean, it also gets them some learning from what players put up what stats back in the day, and
right.
That'd be a good way to attract our older audience to current fantasy football.
Yeah, get them on Sleeper. Sorry, Sleeper's a fantasy football platform. That's why I keep saying Sleeper. It's what the young ones like us we use.
I still use Yahoo.
There was one. One person that comes on our podcast and we're friendly with is former Chiefs linebacker Sean Barber, and he comes on the show a lot. And he was telling me of one that it's very intricate when it comes to the salary caps. It involves a salary cap in your team. There is so much to I'm bringing it up and I don't know the name of it, but he showed it to me and how he does it. And his sons are now doing it, and he's in it with former players. And it's like it's not just fantasy football. You're like the GM, the coach, and all these different things, and how you have to manage the team from week to week in dollars. It is wild. It's totally wild. And again, I'm unprepared to talk about the name because it was a few years ago. He told me about it. I was like, oh man, this is too complicated, man. I just like to draft my players and plug and play and let's go. But
there's auction or salary cap, where you draft a team and you have a budget, but you can only allocate, you have $300 budget, but you have to make the decisions on what you want to allocate.
Yeah.
Right. Or, I'm going to think in a baseball dynasty league, that's actually like the what you described, where you have a salary cap, you have to contracts with players. It's not where you keep players forever. You actually have set terms on the contracts, and they're adjusted based on performance and whatnot. And it ends up being
so many different formats of each league. I mean,
yeah.
Personally, I think we should just stick to the basics, but that's just me. I know, Drew, you like going to dynasties and auctions and keeper leagues and best ball. There's so many that you can.
What?
There's an old saying, boys. There's an old saying: "Keep it simple, stupid." And that's the way I like it.
What about the saying? I like this saying. So the other saying is, it's always a good day to start up a dynasty league. Is kind of what Sleeper always says. It's always
heard that in my life.
Really?
I've never heard that either.
Really, Sleeper has
Never heard
posted
that.
about it before. They say it's always a good day. Always a good day to start a dynasty league.
I'm a
So-
fan of dynasty leagues, but once you start getting super complicated rules and like get fab and the auction draft, and once you get all those extra things, that's when I'm out.
You
Just
tap
normal
out.
dynasty draft, snake draft to start up, and then you get like the rookie draft every year. Get to trade the picks and everything, but
Even that's a little complicated for me, honestly, because I don't know what to do with like 3rd round picks and
you just trade all your picks every year, and that's your strategy.
yeah. And I started the season 11-0, ended up in
You
4th,
but it doesn't matter how you start, Jared.
yeah, I know. Well, Kyler Murray got hurt, Cooper Kupp, I didn't have
Aw.
Cooper Kupp. Marquise Brown got hurt. I had a lot of injuries too.
That's the killer, man. The injuries are the
unpredictable.
killer. It's like it's like during the course of the year, it's how do you fill your backup spots that are on the bench to help you during that. Like a couple of years ago, when Kyle Pitts was a rookie, he got off to a slow start, and somebody cut Kyle Pitts early. I took him, I just sat him on the bench, and then all of a sudden he started, getting some points and put him in. This year was George Kittle. Somebody cut George Kittle. And again, I picked him up and I waited for him to go off. And then him and Brock Purdy started having that connection. And it was like, oh, go ahead, George, do your thing, baby. So
Yeah,
I wait for those waiver wires where people get impatient. And they're like, this person not doing anything. I'm going to cut him. I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
We saw it this year in one of our podcast leagues where it was a great move. But one of the teams, I think he was in 2nd place at the time. And one of the teams that was in, it's probably 8th or 9th, but he needed to win to get into the playoffs to have a chance. Well, he had Jamar Chase. So this was a week or two after Jamar Chase got hurt. He was going to miss an extended period of time. So the guy couldn't afford to keep Jamar Chase because he needed guys that were going to play. So what happened is one of the team that was in 2nd place kind of lowballed him in a Jamar Chase offer, but it was guys that were playing, and he ended up taking it because he needed the guys that could play, and it was a great move and helped the guy win the league. The guy that got Jamar Chase, but it's just
I kind of feel like it's not too fair though, also because like the trade deadline doesn't happen in a few leagues until like right before the playoffs. In some leagues, I mean, that I was in, trade deadline is like week 10, 11, 12. So like right around that time where you can't make those like spur of the moment decisions where you need players to go out and trade for them. Because then like especially for dynasty, because now you look at next year and it's like, well, you threw all your cards in this year, and now you have you lost out on Jamar Chase, for next year.
Strategy how you
too complicated for me. I like to reset every year.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, I want to ask you about something about because right, I mean, we all have our rival teams, but like for the Jets, like how with the Giants, like how much do you feel that rivalry? I guess like Kenny Galladay today, or it sounds like he's gonna get the boot. Are you like, how are you feeling about right? I mean, the Giants as a team.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that question. So I don't live in New York anymore, right? So I moved from New York to Florida to Kansas City. So I'm in Kansas City right now, and my work kind of moved me to here, right? So my hatred for the Giants is not as great since I moved out of New York. Like, I mean, I can tell you, I remember one time going to a Jet game. The Colts your Colts, right?
Yeah.
Were winless. I think it was in 97, if I had to guess. The Colts
doesn't happen often.
Right. Well, back then it did, but
Yeah.
Pre Peyton Manning. But
Yeah.
I think it was the year before you drafted Peyton Manning. You guys were like 0-11 or 0-13, and I go to the game and the Jets lose. All right. So I come back to my house. I'm like, I'm 21, 22. I'm coming back to my house, still living with my parents, right? And I come home, I park in front of the house, and my sister and her husband are leaving the house, so the front door is open. And my sister must have said, "Oh, Steven's home." All of a sudden, I hear my dad, because my dad's a Giants fan, laughing.
Oh,
From the house, I hear him cackling, laughing because the Jets lost to the Colts because they were 0-13, right? And that's right. So I always hated the Giants because of the rivalry that was in the house. My dad's a Giant fan. I'm a Jet fan. And so with the Giant fans being so arrogant, thinking their team was always the greatest, especially in the 80s when, Taylor was there and they won their first one. And then they won the second one in 90 against Buffalo. And so I had to deal with that. So I really hated the Giants. But when I moved from New York and went to Florida and then Kansas City, it's almost like my pride of being a New Yorker didn't mind the Giants as bad. I wasn't as hateful for the Giants. The team that I really hate is Miami. Miami is my biggest rival. I can't stand Miami. I hate everything about Miami. I wish that city would go underwater. I mean, I really don't like anything. Squish the fish. I cannot stand the Dolphins. Now, people are shocked because they say, oh, what about the Patriots? Right? The coach stealing back and forth, right? And so with the Patriots was they were really never a rival because before Tom Brady, and this is what about funny about the Patriot fans, nobody heard of the Patriots in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They went to the one Super Bowl in the 80s with Steve Grogan and Tony Eason, right? They lost to the 85 Bears, right? They got demolished. Outside of that, you never really heard of the Patriots. Their fan base was awful. Their stadium was awful. There was nothing redeeming about the Patriots. And so there was never really a rivalry between the Jets and the Patriots. That's like the Yankees and Red Sox there is, but the Jets, Patriots weren't. And then it all happened. Jets stole, Parcells. And then they stole Belichick, and then the rivalry kind of happened. But when that rivalry started, there was one. But I always say this: you have to win to make it a rivalry, and the Jets can't beat the Patriots. So until the Jets beat the Patriots, there's no rivalry. To me, the Patriots dominate the Jets. So I don't look at them as a rivalry because we can't beat them. But Miami is a different story. They all can go to. This is a PG family-rated show, so I'm going to keep it nice, but that's what I think. I mean, I've gone to Miami for a Jet game, and we're nasty. We just don't get along. I mean, it's just
it can get lopped off into the Atlantic.
Yeah, I wish. Right? I mean, Dan Marino. I hate Dan Marino. You know what Dan Marino's favorite play of all time is? And this jerk would say it on CBS when he was the front guy there on the pregame show for years. And they asked him, and I think it was Boomer, and he started. By the way, Boomer Sison's grandmother, lived 2 blocks away from me. I never saw Boomer, but I've been in her house, and she had Boomer posters all over the place. But anyway, I digress. So Boomer says, "So what are your favorite moments as a player?" So all the years this guy's played, he's played in 1 Super Bowl and lost, and he says, well, yeah, that one game, and then they showed the highlight, the fake spike game in 95, right? He does the fake spike, and he hits Ingram on the back shoulder, beats Aaron Glenn for the touchdown to take the lead in the final, in the fourth quarter late in the game. And he says, that's my favorite moment of all time. I'm like, you know what? You're such a jerk. Of all the times you played, that game is your favorite game. And what pisses me off about that game is I remember my boss tells me, like, I'm 95. I'm 20 years old, man. I'm going to school. And so I work for this place. It's like a Kmart on Long Island. And my boss says, hey, I need you to work on Sunday. I says, that's not happening. Jets are playing. So I had to work in the electronics section, right? And where they had all the TVs and all that. And so I'm like, I can come in after the Jet game, but I got to watch the Jet game. He's like, okay, we're shorthanded. I'll take what I can get. So I remember going to work and walking down the aisles and people asking me questions. Hey, where's this? I think I was in such a daze because the Jets had that game. The Jets were 6-4. They were poised to go to 7-4. It was Pete Carroll was the coach, and the Jets were poised to go to 7-4 until the collapse. That game was the demise. The Jets didn't win another game the rest of the year. They finished 6-10. Pete Carroll gets fired at the end of that year in 95. Or 94, excuse me, 94, not 95. My bad. 95 was the Rich Kotite. 95 and 96 are Rich Kotite.
Whoa.
Brings a twitch every time I mention his name. But that ended Pete Carroll's run with the Jets in 94. And that game is Dan Marino's favorite game.
Yeah, you don't like the Dolphins. We make that clear. Jared, you kind of like,
No, I like Tua.
Jared's
That's
a
the
big
only thing I
Dolphin
like
fan.
about the Dolphins.
Big Dolphin
I think
fan.
that Tua
Zack's a Jets fan.
I just think Tua's underrated. That's literally all I said. I think that because they were really harsh on him to start the season, and I just said he's very underrated. I thought he was going to be a top 10 quarterback easily this year. Obviously, unfortunately, got hurt, so we couldn't really see his full form. But I always liked him.
I am not a Tua guy. And it's not because he plays for Miami. Well, maybe it's a little bit because he plays for Miami. Probably a little bit because he played for Alabama, which I'm not an Alabama guy.
Yeah, I didn't like him there. Yeah.
But he played a good quarterback until everybody rang his bell. And I have to give him that credit that he played a very good quarterback. I was not expecting that. Expecting that play. His touchdown to interception ratio was great. His yards per game were very good. And he was in that running for MVP there for a while. And then it's just a shame what's happened to him. I don't wish that on anybody. I think the Miami Dolphins failed. The NFL failed that young man. It's inexcusable. When he got hit, the first time it got thrown down like a rag doll, landed on his head. They didn't protect him when he couldn't get up. All the eyes in the skies for everything. They can't see the guy can't walk back to the huddle. That's a travesty what happened there. And then I think it was against Green Bay. He got thrown down, hit his head, back down. Nothing happened. Finished the game. I think he had 3 picks in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he would have 3 picks in the fourth quarter because he didn't know what planet he was on. It was clear as day that he got smacked hard. And then what happened later in the year? And that one wasn't diagnosed as a concussion. My butt, that wasn't a concussion. Everybody in this world saw it. And actually, we started on our Instagram hitting concussion, different places that handle concussions. And we started tagging them in some of this because we went on a rant. And like, I'm not a Dolphin fan. I'm a human fan. And that poor man, that kid, right? He doesn't know better. He wants to play. It's up to responsible adults to realize that he cannot play because every football player wants to get out there and play. Who doesn't? That's what they love to do. And he's young. Of course he wants to. The NFL failed and the Miami Dolphins. I don't care what they say that he didn't fail a concussion protocol there. It's that game against Green Bay. It makes no difference. Somebody had to be responsible and said that hit was hard. Sorry. You can watch those replays all game. They could have got him out in the second quarter, the third quarter. They didn't. They let him go and finish the game against Green Bay. Unacceptable.
Go ahead, Zach.
I
saw Zach was going to say something.
No, I just feel like, after he had that big hit, obviously, his doctors said that they kind of wanted him to retire already. And I think that they're going to be so precautious over these next few seasons. Like he takes a hit, they'll take the precautions. He'll be out a few games, and it's just unfortunate we couldn't do anything before that happened. In my opinion, I mean, it's so unfortunate that happened to him. I just hope that he can still find joy in football and not always having to worry about his health and if he's ever going to be healthy again.
Most people, I don't know if they realize, the casual fan may not know that, but Tua did not clear a concussion protocol until 4 weeks after the season ended. After the regular season ended. Think about that.
Yeah.
4 weeks after the season ended, he got cleared. That just
And
tells
we're
you how
hoping-
bad it really was.
We're hoping protocols need to be improved. I mean, we talked about
Yeah.
they mentioned stuff mid-season, but obviously that didn't happen, right? I mean, this is stuff that needs to be done ASAP. So, Steve, I was wondering, us four here, we mentioned Zach has 2 games for us to play. So Zach did email them to you.
Yeah,
if you got,
I emailed you a
front-
picture of the 2 games. If you can take a look at that.
Otherwise, we can explain because we'll be
explain it,
explaining for the audience as well. So, no worries on that. But Zach, take it away.
Jared and Drew, you guys got it up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me
So,
1
oh my
second.
God.
Steve, while we wait, I'm kind of curious. Are you a Yankees and Knicks fan, or what are you?
I hate the Knicks. I am a
Nets.
Yankees fan. I hate the Knicks. I hated Patrick Ewing. So I grew up on Long Island. So in Queens, you had St. John's, Redmond back in the day. They were called the Redmen. I think now they're called the Red Storm.
Red Storm. Yep.
Yep. And
Big
I
East.
hated Georgetown. Georgetown was their biggest rival. Patrick Ewing was there. I had Chris Mullen and Mark Jackson, and they had, Patrick Ewing. I forget the other really good player they had. And I hated Patrick Ewing, and he got drafted by the Knicks. I couldn't stand the Knicks. Actually, people say, oh my God, you're a New Yorker and you like Boston. I said, I grew up a Celtic fan. I grew up with Bird, Parrish, McHale, and Dennis Johnson, and Casey Jones is the coach. And people say, how can you like the Celtics? You're not supposed to like anything Boston. And I said on NBC, when growing up as a kid, the Celtics were always on. So that's what I saw on TV was the Celtics, not anybody else. I always saw the Celtics, and Lakers were on, but the Celtics were always the first team on TV, and that's the team that I grew up and started watching.
So you're a Red Sox Celtics fan?
No, I'm a Yankee Celtics.
Yankee
Celtics.
I'm an
Okay.
Islander
Yankee
fan for
Celtics.
hockey.
Okay.
Islanders, Jets, Yankees, Celtics.
Okay.
I tried getting into the Brooklyn Nets, but it's funny, your allegiance. I tried to like Brooklyn. I just can't. My allegiance just goes back to the Celtics. It's just funny how that works. I can never. Just a fan. So all right.
I'm
so
on Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So you
Okay,
got
good.
it
We
up.
have the
All
game.
right. So we're gonna start with the bottom one, which is gonna be a draft. I got up the top 5 picks and the teams that had those picks. So we're going to start out. You guys, the 3 of you are going to be taking turns guessing. You have to guess, first of all, the draft year, and it's within the last 10 years. So we're not going back to like the 80s or anything. It's within the last 10 years. And then you have to name the 5 players for each of the picks in any order.
All right. So can you back that up? So you're saying I have to. So I see the 4 names. I assume everybody's got the same 4 names.
Yeah.
Or the one on the bottom,
the 5
the draft.
teams, the bottom
one. The bottom one.
And
So,
Jared
okay.
or I can start too, and you can kind of see
Yeah.
how it works.
Okay,
Like
that'd
we
be
each
great.
take a turn. So like it goes Jared's turn, then my turn, then your turn, and then it goes back to Jared.
Yeah.
And we keep guessing until we
So
get
you
all
just
5.
want to go Drew, Jared, Steve.
Okay,
So I do
okay.
that.
Okay,
So-
I'll start. And we could pick any of the 5 we want to go with.
Any of the 5 or the draft year.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna say number 2 is Derrick Henry.
It is not.
It is not. Okay, that's what I was kind of going with.
When you say so back this up. When you say Derrick Henry, when you say number 2, because number 2 is the team.
Yeah, well,
Number
well,
2 is
I'm
the
guessing that he got
Titans.
drafted number
Yeah.
2 to Tennessee. I'm wrong,
Okay.
as Zach
that
said.
make
So
sense?
Jared, now it's Jared's turn. Now Jared's gonna try to guess, just as I guessed.
Oh, so there's 2 different games going on here.
Yeah,
So the
we're
first
game 2
part,
is the
Yeah.
I
bottom.
have to
So-
ignore the first part. The
Yeah,
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah.
looking at
Ignore
the
that.
bottom.
Yeah. I'll say number 1. So this within the last 10 years, right, Zach? You
Yep.
said. Okay. Didn't Jameis Winston go number 1?
It is Jameis Winston.
Cool.
So now, Steve, you can either go for any of the picks 2 through 5, or you can say the year of the draft.
Okay. I'm going to go 5 Washington. Dwayne Haskins.
That is incorrect.
Okay, my turn. Yes, 4. I'm gonna say Derek Carr.
That is also incorrect.
Really?
Ooh.
Jared's got the lead.
I thought one was Winston, but I
1-0.
was like, I'm gonna get that one second round because I was positive 2 is Henry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Henry was
good
like
year,
a
Zach.
2nd or 3rd rounder, I'm pretty sure.
Was this? I can guess the year, right?
Yeah.
It was. I'm between 2 here. Was it 2016?
No, it was not. 2016 was Jared Goff, Dak Prescott.
2016. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Steve, you're up again.
Oh, I'm up already. Oh God. I wasn't sure. Oh man. Okay. So Tampa Bay's off the board because my man got it. Oh God.
It's a tough one.
This is a tough year, yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is wrong. I know this is gonna be wrong.
Go for it, Steve.
All right, Chase Young in Washington.
No. Chase Young was 2019, I think. So Chase
And I
Young's a
think
little too soon.
Yeah.
Too recent.
Okay.
See, I thought.
Oh, did you
okay.
say? Did you give me a draft year? Is that why
I did
screwed
not.
up?
No.
I guessed
did not give you a
2016
year.
and it was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess.
That is one of
and
the things
say-
you can guess. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this was 2013.
It was not 2013.
Well then, okay.
All right. I'll go with the other one. Is it 2015?
It is 2015.
Cool.
So
I
Jared's
knew it was either
got-
16 or 15.
Good job, Jared.
So this is 2015 draft. Jameis went first overall. Jared's got 2.
Okay.
Oh,
Drew and Steve both got 0.
Cool. It's
So
my rival
okay,
up
we're
there
doing
on
the
board.
2015 draft.
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not focused. Okay, 2015 draft. Wow, 2015. Whew. This is good. I like this game. This is nicely done, boys. Who's up?
you up?
You're up.
Steve.
All right, 2015. Oh God, I got no freaking clue. 2015. That's 7 years ago, so it'd be on their second contracts.
None of these players are
Jacksonville.
on the
Jacksonville. I'll say Leonard Fournette.
Nope.
Jacksonville.
Leonard
I'll
Fournette's
say
17.
Jalen Ramsey.
Nope. None of these players are on the team that drafted them, if that helps.
Ramsey's not on them,
You
so that
sure,
didn't help.
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
sure we're not talking about the New York Jets when first round picks not on the team?
Jared, you're up again?
Jacksonville. Do I want to stay Jacksonville? I'm thinking quarterbacks. I don't even know if he was drafted by Jacksonville, but is it Blake Bortles?
No, it's not Blake Bortles.
You gave me an
Steve?
idea, though.
Did I?
You gave me an idea.
Steve,
You're up.
Oh, Blaine Gabbert.
It was not Blaine Gabbert.
Oh,
I
Is
could
it-
give.
Well, for
We'll do
Jacksonville,
one more round. Yeah.
Is it Ngakwe?
Is not.
Jacksonville.
This is good.
You guys
It's a
are
nice
stuck
year,
on the
Zach.
Jacksonville one.
Yeah, well, I
Let
want
me
to get
think
that
of-
one. I feel
Let me
like
think
that
of my
should be
team's
me.
rival. Let me think of my team's rival real quick. The Titans. Let's think. So 2015. So obviously not
Second
Tannehill.
overall. They didn't even draft Tannehill. Tannehill's
Did they
from
not?
Miami.
Oh. So think. I mean, it's got to be a weapon, not Henry. No. Drew already guessed Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you're welcome. I did you a favor. I did favor for
He's a
everyone.
martyr.
Who was their quarterback before Tannehill?
Oh, I got it.
All right, Jared. Yes, Steve is feeling
Jared?
good.
Take a guess.
Marcus Mariota.
Hey, it's
He
my
went number
guess.
2 against Forrest
It is
Winston.
Mariota, isn't it?
I should have.
Yep.
It just dawned on me when you said the 2015, and then I'm like, wait a minute. Jameis went
Yeah.
1. I remember Mariota going 2.
Steve
Yeah.
gets the point. Jared, I'll give you a guess because you did not guess. So you got Jacksonville at 3, Oakland 4, Washington 5.
I think it's coming back to me later.
This is tough. Oakland. Dude, Michael Crabtree?
No. Okay, so I'll give a little bit of
Solid
position
guess, I
breakdown.
thought.
One of the
Good.
final 3 is a receiver. One
Okay.
is an offensive lineman,
Oh,
and one of them is a defensive lineman.
this will be nice.
Oh, is Brandon Sheriff or Sheriff?
Yep, he
for
was 5.
Washington?
He was
Yes,
5 to Washington.
Whatever. Oh my god.
that was good. Thank
Drew?
you for the hint there.
Jared, up to another pick.
So I said Crabtree, right?
Yep.
2015. Who else was on that team?
One is a defensive lineman, one is a receiver.
So it could be a lineman.
Jacksonville and Oakland left.
Yep.
D
Jacksonville.
lineman and receiver. Okay, I got.
I'm gonna try to go for the receiver because I'm not gonna be able to get the
A D lineman.
D lineman.
I don't know if I'd get that either. It's kind of tough.
I was thinking linebacker for
So-
Jacksonville.
I don't
Yeah,
know how
D
old he
lineman.
is. I remember having Michael Crabtree on my fantasy team in like 2017 on the Raiders, and it was I don't know how old he was then, but it
Crabtree
was
was drafted by the 49ers, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jared, why?
Okay.
Stop saying Crabtree. Crabtree doesn't matter.
no.
Like,
I'm trying to think of the duo they had in like 2017 because
Okay.
it would have been young receivers.
You try to think of the other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was him. He was number 15, and then
Jelani Woods.
I got to guess. for
no, was
Jacksonville.
it Amari Cooper?
It was Amari Cooper.
oh,
Let's go.
nice.
No way. No
Jared's
way.
got 3. Steve and Drew are both at 1. Steve, can you get who went to Jacksonville at 3? Defensive
Miles
lineman.
Jack? Miles
It
Jack?
was not Miles Jack. Nope.
Oh,
All right.
I'm not gonna
Um,
get this one.
We'll go one
Yeah,
more
Zach,
round. So each get
can
one
you
more
give-
guess.
one more.
I'm not
yeah.
getting this one.
I don't know.
Anybody got a guess?
Oakland? No, not Oakland. Jacksonville.
I like my Ngakwe guess. That was like all I had.
That's a solid guess. Let's guess.
Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm not getting that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
No,
I
no.
figured, yeah. All right, so we can move on to the top game then.
Jared wins
Um,
another
so-
game.
Yep.
I am
Jared
undefeated,
is
huh?
3-0
Just
on
wanted to
his
give you some
games.
credit, Jared.
Yeah.
So
thank
Steve, you
Thank
see it's kind of a little chart there. So the corresponding box with the 2 players. So the top left is going to be Teddy Bridgewater and Von Bell. You're going to have
Yep.
to name a team that both of them played for. They don't have to have played for the team at the same time. They just both have to have played for that team at some point in their careers.
Does winner
Okay.
go first?
Yeah, Jared can go first.
All right, I'll get the easy one then. Dante Foreman and Teddy Bridgewater both on the Panthers.
Yep.
I'm sorry. What were the two names?
Teddy
He took
Bridgewater
Foreman
and
and Bridgewater.
Dante Foreman. They were
So
both on the
that square is
Panthers.
taken. So there's 3 left.
Okay.
Steve, you
And
can
now
go.
it's Steve's turn.
Von Bell and Teddy Bridgewater, Miami Dolphins.
Nope. Von
Okay.
Bell never played for Miami.
I'm gonna say Von Bell, Teddy Bridgewater, Saints.
That's correct.
Okay.
Both on the Saints.
I was not going to get that. I did not know Von Bell played on the Saints.
He was drafted by the
now-
Saints.
You guys can
Okay.
do me a favor and kind of knock out this or DJ Reader now.
Jared,
We have
Yeah, I don't know Reader's career, so I'm just gonna take.
I don't know his
a
path,
guess
so
that
I'm-
Von Bell is on. He's on the Bengals now, so I'll just say Bengals. But I have no idea if Reader was ever on the Bengals.
DJ Reader's on the Bengals right now.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
Wait, they're both on the Bengals right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, I was worried more about
DJ
the Dante Foreman.
DJ
one.
Reader's
Okay.
actually he's a pretty good defensive lineman for them.
I didn't know
He
he
was a
was
big
on the
part of their
Bengals.
Super Bowl
Oh.
run last year.
Okay.
So now we
I'm
got
just dumb
the Donta Foreman and DJ Reader, bottom right corner. Steve, it is your guess.
then. Don't know.
Where did Foreman all play? That's my question.
He played a few places.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a solid guess actually because I remember.
I think
I'll say the
we
Falcons.
lost Jared.
Hold on, we
Sounds
got
not
him.
the
I don't know what
Falcons.
happened.
Oh, it's
Jared,
like,
hi.
Weird. Hi, I'm back.
Okay, not the
So
Falcons.
Steve guessed the Falcons. It's not them.
Steve guessed the
No.
Falcons. Okay.
I gotta
Who's
come
pick?
in now and make something up here that makes sense. See, I would have guessed Reader. I didn't realize he's been on different teams. Wait, is it Reader, Foreman, Bengals too?
No, Foreman was
Okay,
never
that
on the Bengals.
I didn't think so, but
I'll give a hint.
What-
I'm pretty sure DJ Reader only played for 2 teams.
see, I
I
figured Reader
know,
was.
I
Still
know
on-
my guess is going to be my next team.
So, Jared, we're gonna go with you first.
See, I just don't know DJ Reader's career. Was Dante Foreman, was he the backup to Derrick Henry on Tennessee?
He was, but that is incorrect.
Oh,
Good guess.
Yeah.
You got a team. You know.
I did get a team he played for, but I don't know Reader.
I'm throwing a Hail Mary if it's my turn.
Yep.
It's your turn.
The Chargers.
It's not the Chargers.
Oh.
49ers.
It's not the 49ers.
Just throw
Jared?
teams out.
Foreman. I only know him in a
it's-
Panthers uniform.
It's the AFC team. It was the
AFC?
team that Donta Foreman and DJ Reader both started their career with this team. I'm pretty sure.
Started.
I know
getting it.
DJ Reader did for sure, but
All I know is Foreman being a backup on the Titans, and then now he's on the Panthers.
Yeah.
so
AFC.
this
I'll say the Broncos.
no.
I don't
This
know.
team, try to think of.
There's not too many teams that we can guess. You know, there's like 8 left probably.
All right, this team is fairly new. I think they started in like the early 2000s, like the expansion team. That should narrow it down quite a bit. I'm
Huh?
pretty sure.
Okay.
Whose turn?
You're up. You're up.
Steve,
Jaguars.
no.
Drew, you're up.
I know.
I'll give it to you guys after this.
I'm gonna say the Ravens.
No, it was the Texans.
The Texans.
Didn't the Oilers moved to Tennessee, and then the Texans came around and
Oh, the
Was it
oil. Yeah,
2002?
yeah,
Yeah, I was saying
Yeah.
Ravens because like
Yeah.
Colts, but I know that wasn't
yeah.
that wasn't as
yeah.
you know.
So I think
2000s.
I should have
Foreman-
I should have stayed in the division. I had Tennessee
Yeah.
guessed.
Yeah.
but,
That was gonna be my hint, but I figured that gave it away
Yeah.
too
well,
much.
it
so.
wasn't the Colts, obviously.
some good games, and again, Steve, we want to thank you
Yeah.
for coming on here. I guess where can the people find you? Right, OW_sports. Talk about it.
OWsports.net. We're on Facebook at OW Sports, Twitter, OW Sports 12. We're everywhere. We're on Spotify. Just do OW Sports. It's a great time. We love talking Jets, Bills, and stuff. We're starting up a new page here that's going to get announced. We're going to back a certain player, and we're going to make a push for the Hall of Fame for this player. So more to come on that. Hasn't been released, so we haven't saying what player we're doing it for, but we're making a push, and with me going to the Hall of Fame, I'm trying to get NFL credentials, and I'm gonna try and start that push there on the Hall of Fame weekend and get it advertised. So. We're just going to try. We're going to try and get one of the team's media people involved and help try and push this through and get some notoriety around it. So the only hint I'll give you, it is a former Buffalo Bills player.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you
Awesome.
for the hint.
We got
As we know, I have a
insight.
I have a 5:30 class, so hate to be that guy, but you all know the drill.
Drew's
right?
the needy one of the bunch.
Yeah.
At
Yep.
J2M Football on TikTok, go check that out. And then, of course, right at Drew Sports Crew, then on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the platforms there. And that's going to wrap it up here for Steve, Zach, Jared, and myself. Anyone got anything else? Oh,
Jets are going to go what? What's their record going to be this year, Steve?
just a number.
If we get a quarterback, we're going to be 10-7.
10-7. All right.
Zach, number.
I like that number. 10-7.
9-8.
9-8. Jared, I respect it. All right. Thank you all here for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the Journey to Million, the perfect podcast for you.